Today I want to bring you some new information about some new services and products that might be really helpful to you. And we're going to break this into two separate videos for simplicity reasons. But I've got one of the founders, Connor Ludlow, one of the founders of CallForce with me, and he is going to share with us some of the unique things that they offer that really are a challenge in dentistry that they figured out how to solve and make your lives a million times easier. So I want to take a second and say welcome, Connor, to the Accelerate My Practice studio.
Thank
And
you. Thank you.
tell us how things are in your neck of the woods, like
No,
weather-wise, because everyone always wants to know. We can see outside. It looks like you're in some place with snow.
yes, we did get some snow this morning. We're here in Utah, so it's been a snowy winter for us. One of the more snowy winters I can remember, at least. Which is
Never.
good. If you like to ski, that's great.
But actually that topic dovetails exactly into one of our products that we were going to discuss. And actually I was going to make it the second one, so if you don't mind, I'll flip it real quick. One
Yeah.
of the challenges every dental office runs into is whether we're busy on the phone, whether we can't get into the office because of bad weather, and phones just rolling over to voicemails, and understanding how the psychology, because we're all about psychology, how people think and consumers think, and understanding the psychology of how the average dental patient thinks. Do you think they just leave a message and sit back and wait and call? Because I'm going to go out on a limb and guess you have data and stats on this topic.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you kind of said it perfectly, talking about just like psychology. I mean, if you are a dental patient and you're in pain, odds are that you're not really going to want to sit around, right? You're going to want to get to somebody. You're going to want to get things fixed. And not only that, but I mean, if you're willing to, pay the money for some sort of procedure, you're going to want somebody who is worth what you're paying for, right? And so what we see is that dentists miss about 32% of the phone calls that they are getting, which is huge when you think about it, especially when patients are calling in for those emergency appointments. My tooth fell out, or I was playing hockey and it got knocked out. That's something that people want somebody there for, and you want to be ready for that, to capture that when that comes in.
32% of phone calls are missed. And I know how I am. I'm a really impatient person. And if the person doesn't answer the phone that I'm calling when I'm looking for a service, I just dial the next number and I keep calling and calling and calling. And by the time you call me back 10 minutes later, maybe even the next day, if it's a weather issue because you got a bunch of snow the night before, the odds are I already found somebody else, and I'm going to politely hang up on the phone call and move on with life. So it's an expensive problem if you think about that. A third of the phone calls, a third of the new patient flow. Because, one of the first things every dentist brings to my attention whenever I meet them is, I need new patients, I need new patients. And I have a completely different opinion on the matter. I think they need better conversion rate in a bunch of different areas. And imagine if a third of the new patients calling you don't end up in your practice because you go somewhere else because you get impatient like me, and you end up with a different practice. If you're paying for expensive marketing, or any marketing, whether expensive or not, or if you're just not even doing any marketing, but you're hemorrhaging a third of the opportunities, have you ever been able to put data behind that cost? Like for the average practice, what is a third of lost, 32% of lost phone calls cost a practice?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the hard part with that, when it comes to data on those, is that every practice is different, right? You have some practices in certain areas, other practices where those conversion rates might be a little bit different. What we see a lot of the time, though, is really what it comes down to is the opportunity of calls are coming in. Like you mentioned, you're spending money, whether that's a lot of money, a little bit of money, you're spending money on marketing. And if somebody, sees your ad, sees whatever it is that you're putting out there, and then calls, and then nobody picks up the phone, then that money kind of went to waste. And so what we try and go off of, especially when you talk about statistics, is we want to make sure that you're capturing everybody. It's also not just about, converting necessarily every single person, but having somebody there on the phone to at least answer and be able to take care of whatever it is that the patient is calling about is going to be big, because maybe they don't necessarily sign up for that big appointment right off the bat, but they know that you were there and you picked up their phone call and you were able to get back to them and answer their questions. And a lot of the time, that's what ends up leading towards the actual appointment.
Yeah, if you start looking at lifetime value of a patient, and I've seen stats that are all over the place. I mean, I've seen $4,000 stats. I've seen $10,000 or $12,000 stats. I don't know what the data is as of recently, but to lose a third of those patients over, and then the lifetime value of that patient it's just astronomical. And whether it's an expensive marketing plan or whether it's not an expensive marketing plan, any waste is just silly. So feeling like we've probably beat the topic of the problem to death enough, tell us how you guys solve this with your answering service product. How can you solve this issue for me, whether it's a snow day, whether it's I'm just swamped at the front office and I can't answer the phone? How do you guys solve this?
Yeah, for sure. Well, we really put you guys at the center of it all. We know that dentists are busy. I mean, you're wearing a bunch of different hats. You've got the business hat, you've got the actual dentistry hat, you've got the employer hat. And that takes a lot of time to do those types of things. And it's a lot of stuff that's on your mind to do. So, what we try and do is make sure that the phone ringing is not something that you have to stress over. You already have enough stress in your lives. We want to make it to where if you have, you know, like you mentioned, different situations. I mean, let's say you're short a staff member for the day and somebody's there at the front desk and you're really trying to help that person out at the front desk and the phone rings. We don't want you to have to be stressed about that, about having to choose between two different patients. So if somebody calls your practice, the phone's going to ring 3 times on your end. And if you guys don't pick it up, then it's going to forward it over to us. So if you do pick it up, we never come into play. Everything just kind of continues like normal. But if it does, whatever situation, whether it's you guys aren't there or you guys are busy, if you guys miss that phone call, it's going to forward it over to us. And one of our scheduling coordinators will be there to pick up the phone. And they're great. They are basically trained to be like another member of your team. We have something that's called a doctor profile. And with the doctor profile, we learn where to schedule, who to schedule with. If you guys have any little requirements like a cancellation fee, we put down notes about that. And those remote hygiene coordinators are our scheduling coordinators. We're going to take a look at that doctor profile and talk to your patients. We're going to help them out. And the great thing about it is we're not just trying to be a glorified voicemail. We're not just trying to say, hey, they weren't available, let's take a message. We're actually going to talk to the patient and see if we can help them out. And if they want to schedule a cleaning, we'll schedule that cleaning onto your practice management software. So it's not just like we're trying to take messages for you guys or make sure that you have a callback number, but if there's something that we can do to help, we'll do it. We'll answer those questions, we'll schedule that appointment, and that in turn just helps people get into your chairs. And not only that, I mean, yes, it's nice to have that business side of it taken care of, but just being able to know that you can do those things that are on your plate and have that system kind of as your safety net to help out with that. That's what we really try and help out.
I think about the value of what you just discussed, and it fits really well with one of my premises, which is a public declaration leads to future actions, right? If I publicly tell somebody I'm going to go do something, the odds of me going through and doing it are 10 times better. And by you guys not only answering the phone, but then scheduling me. So I have an appointment time, date, everything done. Hey, go to the website, download your new patient form, whatever it might be. And by you guys being able to handle that, I'm making a public declaration as a patient that I'm coming, like tomorrow too. Your odds of success are just so much higher versus even a decent plan B, which would be a callback person answering the phone and then someone in the dental office calling back in 15 minutes. But having that commitment out of the patient to where they're already scheduled, to me, it's a game changer. It's a huge, huge game changer to know that a live person not only takes the call, but schedules a patient. And I think that's kind of rockstar awesome. Do you guys get so far into the topic because we know some patients go digging into, hey, how much is this appointment going to be, whatever it might be. Do you guys have a methodology to answer some of those more technical financial questions?
Yeah, so we do. And it all kind of comes back to that doctor profile. The way that I usually describe the doctor profile is it's like our little training guide for your office. And obviously, there's going to be times where that question gets intense enough to where you might not want us answering it. That might be something that you want your financial controller answering or your billing coordinator. And so that's actually something that we mark down on the doctor profile. There is a place for things like an in-house savings plan or which insurances you accept. But the majority of the time, once it gets specific like that, we'll just send that right back to your office. And again, it's not we'll take a message. We try and keep it personal. We really try and make sure that the patient knows that you want them. And so we'll say something along the lines of, Susie's our financial controller. She'll have a great answer on that for you. Let me get the best callback number, and we'll have her give you a call back as soon as she can. And then we have the ability to mark that as kind of like an urgent item, and that would send you guys an email right away to where you can go in, see that note, see what needs to be done, and then Susie can give them a call back.
So I'm going to ask a stupid question. What are the dumb things that someone isn't thinking to ask? Because to me, it sounds like you've covered everything from soup to nuts on this scenario, which is pretty impressive. What's the unknown that still hangs out there that some doctor watching this could be like, hey, but how about that?
No, for sure. I mean, to tell you the truth, we have gotten everything. We've gotten some crazy phone calls. We've had things that are more along the lines of emergencies. And the best way that I describe it is that's going to happen. Like, we are going to get crazy phone calls. And really what we try and do is again, going back to that safety net concept, we just want to make sure that you guys have the opportunity to do what you need to do. So all those crazy situations, things that you're talking about and things that you might not realize, we're at least going to get the patient's name and the phone number and send that back to you. I mean, unless they hang up or something right after telling us what's going on, we're going to be able to send that back to you so that you can do what you need to do with it. And that's kind of, I think, one of the neat things about us is just that we try and turn this into an action item for you. Like, yes, anything can happen. There can be lots of crazy questions. And at the end of the day, we are out of the office. You know, we're not necessarily 100% trained by you, but we're going to try and give you some action items so that when you go to bed or when you're leaving the office, you don't have to think like, man, I wonder what that missed phone call was. You would at least know, even if it's something weird or something not even relevant. Like, for example, we get wrong phone numbers all the time. We've had people calling to order pizza, no joke. And we just kind of, let them know that it's the dental office. And if we need to, we'll try and get the callback number. Pizza ordering, that usually doesn't happen, but we just try and be here as a backup to you. So even if, we talk a lot about scheduling appointments, obviously every call is not going to be a scheduled appointment, but we're at least going to try and get you some sort of action item that you can take care of that phone call.
That's awesome. What hours are your phones, are their phones covered by you?
Yeah, so we are open, and this is in Mountain Time. So 6 o'clock Mountain Time to a.m., 6 o'clock a.m. Mountain Time to 8 o'clock p.m. Mountain Time. And that's Monday through Friday. And then we're also open Saturdays from 8 a.m. Mountain Time to 4 p.m. Mountain Time.
That's awesome. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
So let's assume someone's watching this, thinks that this is amazing. How best to get in touch with your organization and get to learn more about how they can use you?
Yeah, for sure. So we actually created a custom landing page for you guys that's going to have a place where you can submit your information. It's not anything, super committal. It's not like you're signing a contract. It would basically be to get in touch with us. That's going to allow you to ask questions. I'm sure that you want to know how this fits to your practice. And so you'd be able to get a little demo of what we do. It's just going to ask for your name, phone number, email, and then your practice name. So go ahead, submit your information there, and you'll be good to go.
I pulled it up, and while you were talking, I showed it over the top. The URL is info.getcallforce.com/accelerate my practice. Any other concluding thoughts you want to share with our audience here before we wrap this up?
I think that's it. I mean, really, we don't want to sit here and give you some big, long sales pitch because we know you get that all the time. We want you guys to feel like this is really something that'll help out your practice and something. I mean, we're trying to become a part of your team here, and we want you to have confidence in that. So give us a call or shoot us an email if you have any questions, or go to that landing page. We actually don't have any contracts with our service. It's all month to month. Again, we want to prove this value to you, so let us know if you have questions, and we'd love to talk to you.
It's awesome. Connor, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to join us to chat about your answering service. And we have another video coming up, series 2, if you will, on the reactivation topic. So for those of you that might have a greater interest in how do you get your past due patients back in, stand by, watch the upcoming video on that topic. And with that, Connor, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to join us. And it's been my pleasure to have you on.
Hey, I appreciate it. It was fun.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Connor.